Hip hop from the ghetto. City Menace.
What's up, boss man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, how you doing, man? I'm in here with legendary Nonito Donaire. Yeah, man. So I ain't even gonna be too far around the bush, man, but I know you being a strong Filipino fighter, man. I always want to ask you, man, how was it like growing up in the Philippines?
It was tough because I was, what I could remember back in the days, we didn't have much, I mean, I remember we grew up without electricity. So, back in my little village in the Philippines. So it was tough. It was tough, and then we moved to the United States.
Is that how you started your silver gloves and nationals? That's how you started jumping in there?
No, actually, my brother started before I did. And, I moved to San Leandro in the Bay Area from the Philippines. And then, my dad wanted us to get out of the street, stuff like that. So,
was it your dad that pushed you guys into the sport?
Yeah, my dad loved boxing. So my brother, he was getting into so much trouble in school. He was getting suspended and all that stuff. So my dad,
just your brother, right? Not you?
No, not me. I was a good boy, man. I was the one that was bullied all the time because, I was a little tiny ass kid. I was a very young kid. And I always get bullied. But my dad wanted me to learn how to protect myself. So so it came to that point where my dad was so proud of my brother. For me, I was just like, you know what, I want that love. So so I ended up boxing.
Was there somebody that you used to see in the sport that you looked up to?
I mean, like a fighter?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I didn't really care too much about the fighting. It was me and my dad. We wanted him to see me, because as a young, you want your dad to you look up to.
But then approve.
Yeah. So that's how I got into it. Because I wanted my dad to see me that I was a man and I exist.
How much younger are you than your brother?
About close to 3 years. But yeah, but
so he used to kick your ass
all the time. All the time, man. Big brother's always, I mean, I was
so
Your
brother was just that much bigger than you?
He was bigger than me. Yeah, he was way bigger than me. It's crazy because when you're growing up, the 3 years gap is so big. So right now I'm bigger than him. Back in the days, he was way bigger than me.
Yeah. So when is the moment that you guys walk into a gym and begin to take it serious?
My brother took it serious at the very beginning. For me, my dad had me trained, and then 45 days, he's like, "You're ready to fight." I'm like, "No, I'm not." So he got me to do my professional my amateur boxing, and then after that, it was just a part of family. My brother and I, we fought, every week, forward to fighting. We would go and visit California to anything else, and then we would compete for the tournament.
So, is it when you won the silver gloves, or somewhere in there, the way you begin to think about professional fighting?
I never really thought about it, man. During those times, I never thought about professional.
You were extraordinarily successful as an amateur.
Yes.
And you did not think of that?
Nope, not even a single bit. I thought doing it for my dad, So he was very proud of that, and that was the only time we really had connected when we talked about boxing. That's what we could. But when family talk when it done boxing. But without boxing, it was like no one really talked to each other. No one really cared else. When I grew up, he would wake us up more, about to go up in the hill and run up there, and then when we get home, we would go to and then do homework and go to sleep. So it was like that. They weren't really in outside of
So you use boxing as a way to connect with dad, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that was just connect with my father, and it was just more of like I felt like it didn't really exist if I didn't box. You know, win national, and you know I got a pat in the back. My brother win local fights every celebrating. You know.
Yeah. So you get so far as an amateur. Where does the professional idea come from at that point? You say you never thought about it. Who are you gonna be like that?
So after the
you was gonna work at what was you gonna do? Work at Best Buy or something? I mean,
nothing, man. It's so weird because after the Olympic trials, I was alternate for the Olympic trials in 2000. I had a scholarship for Northern Michigan University, and I wanted boxing though. I had to be there for boxing. My father was like, "No, you should be pro." So that's how I turned pro. 2001 pro.
Yeah, I know you turned pro 2001.
Yeah.
So you were almost forced into it.
At that time, I felt like I was forced into it because I told my mom, I said, "I want to go to school. I want to get this scholarship, live this." You know, and my dad was like, "Oh, you're gonna turn pro." So I felt like I was forced into it. And fast forward, when I was already a world champion. But
so you turn pro, and then your second fight, what happens?
I lost. The second fight, I lost. Right. And
what goes through your mind when you lose? And you know, at that point, being so successful.
Well, I think I lost in the Olympic trials too, so that was heartbreaking for me.
For sure.
You know, I wanted to go, and so, you know, it's heartbreaking because you grow up and I'm gonna be an Olympic gold. You know, in your mind, I don't go silver, go bronze, go quarterfinals. It's always like, you know what, I'm the gold medalist or I'm a world champion. That was my mentality, though I was very quiet at the time. But that was one of the moments that I was really hurt was when I felt like I should have won, or I should have been that, and then I took pro, lost my second. For me, it was like done with boxing, you know.
But then you went on a tear after that.
Yeah, you know, it
was there some type of adjustment in your mentality, or what happened mentally?
I think I stopped forcing the issue and stopped putting all the heaviness in my body to expect. You know, I was just out there to fight. I was out there to fight, and I think the more expectation for me that I had, the more that it was very tough for me to win fights. Or it was very tough for me when there was pressure of fighting and winning. It was difficult to be in it to have fun.
2007, you met the president of the Philippines.
After winning the world championship, yeah.
Right, after becoming a world champion. Did you feel like dignified, or did you feel something?
It was surreal, man. Like it was so surreal, like it didn't exist. Like I'm still dreaming. I gotta wake up, you know. So for me, it was like I was still dreaming, man. I felt like all of this was like it's impossible. You know, I couldn't really feel like. I mean, I was just like floating. Yeah.
I want you to tell me something. How good is Guillermo Rigondeaux in 2013?
Guillermo Rigondeaux was slick. He was very slick. He was good. He used jab. For me, I was just on my. At that time, I did everything I needed to do. You know, I just got awarded for the goal that I wanted, becoming the best fighter with Fighter of the Year. He's very, very good. He was very slick. You know, and I just came out there to just try to knock his head out. Game plan, you know. But yeah, there was really no game plan. But you know, he was able to up by a lot. I was missing a lot.
Mm. If there was something, if you could tell yourself then, I guess something different to have mentally adjusted or physically adjusted for that fight, what would it be?
Just study the fight, you know, prepare. What I usually do is just set up. You know, I was always 5 steps ahead of all my, but with him, I was just wanting to just hit him. You know, I wasn't trying to cut the rope. I was trying to thoroughly set up. I wasn't trying to do anything else. I was trying to throw some bombs, and that was the biggest mistake for me. I just didn't care too much at that time what I would lose until I lost, and I'm like losing again. You know?
Is that a flaw do you see with a lot of young guys or just in general?
There's guys that are very smart and they don't let their ego take over in terms of the, you know, I played the hype and I'm pretty much done with this game, you know. So a lot of guys, you know, you see it with some guys like Tio, you know, he is a great,
overly aggressive.
well, I think he's a great fighter, but I think he's playing the hype of the guy who beat Lomachenko, you know, and that's already been done in the past. Instead of looking forward to create himself, not living the beat the Lomachenko guy, you know. Instead, you know, I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna grow from it instead of saying, you know, coming from him. I got mad respect for him and his family. He has to grow into a better fighter in realizing that, you know, learning is a constant thing. You don't, you know, from the day you're born to the day you're gonna die, you're gonna learn something new. It's not something like, oh, wait, what? It was coming from his mouth that he learned everything already. It's not learning boxing. That means you ain't got nothing else. You're not gonna grow anymore. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
If you were able to give me Nonito's top 5 all time, who would it be and why?
Man, that's a lot, man. I mean,
Give me 3. Give me 3 then.
I mean, I can go 5, but I don't know if I rank them because they're great at what they do.
There's no rank. There's no order. No order.
You know, Sugar Robinson for me was a big thing. Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and all the 4. I mean, there's a lot of people that inspired me. You know, I just put them in one because they're all equally. I love them equally. That, you know, and one of the guys growing up was Roy. Roy Jones was one of the guys that really inspired me, you know, to fight smart, to be at my best. You know, I was like, man, I want to be like him. I want to be like him, you know. So,
what'd you like the most about Roy?
Well, he was slick. He was just a guy who had so much talent, and he would play basketball, you know, before fighting.
He'd have a whole game and then fight.
So I was like, man, that's a guy to be beaten, you know. In my head, you know, it was like, man, I want to be like that, a guy who just can't be beaten.
So you got why Sugar Ray Robinson?
I just started loving the fact when I started learning more about the boxing game, you know, how he pretty much kind of created the boxing world, how to box properly, how to use, you know, fundamentals, you know, using the jab, putting the head out here, you know, a lot of fundamentals that people don't do nowadays. So for me, I just, you know, I love history when it comes down to learning new things, and I learn a lot from fight, you know, the black and white fights, and you know.
How much of that did you study throughout your career, that era?
I was more into the Four Kings era that I studied. You know, Sugar, Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, and you know, it was that time, it was that era that, you know, I was basing my style on. It was later on in my career that I started to love the sport more, and wanted to know more about how boxing can win.
I'm gonna name some names.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, Holyfield, Pacquiao, Hopkins, Morales, Floyd Mayweather Jr. What do these names have in common with you?
Shit, man. I mean, people would say legends, right, or legendary, or Hall of Fame.
I'll take you one. I'll take you one further.
But I would say
you guys are the only 6 to be champions in 3 different decades.
to make it 4, man.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. That, you gonna be in a class by yourself.
Good. That's what I learned growing up.
So it ain't gonna be Maloney. So you have any idea who you might see?
Well, right now, I entrust Richard to pick the guy to have a conversation with Mauricio, who they will allow me to fight. Because we wanted all these other champions, all these fighters, name like Emmanuel Rodriguez and all these guys, but they are also fighting battle and fighting their own organization of getting the belts. So it has to be within a WBC ranking that the WBC is willing for me to fight.
So I want you to take just a real quick thought and tell me the biggest moment in your career that stands out to you personally. It could be big, small. It's your moment. What moment stands out the most to you?
I would say the first fight with the Indian. I realized I was world champion. I never expected that becoming world champion was something I desired growing up. I thought I've always done it for my parents, or for my dad, or for my family. But when I felt that I won the fight, and when they announced me winning the fight, it was like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, because it was, when I fought him, I just wanted, he pissed me off so bad, I just wanted to hurt him. But so I didn't care too much about winning the fight, losing the fight. It was, I just want to hurt this dude, or become world champion. None of that. I want to hurt this, So yeah,
I got that.
Yeah, so for me, when I realized I was a world champion, that time, I was, I don't know. Words can't really express that.
Of course not. Yeah, of course not. It's a bigger moment that words typically can't describe.
Yeah.
In 2019, you fought Inoue for the first time.
Yeah.
Tell me what you thought of that fight.
I thought it was a fun fight. It's crazy because, people don't really want to get into that kind of fight where it's brawl and all that stuff. It was fun for me.
Nonito does.
I do. I love fights like that. I love fights that challenges me, But it was a memorable fight for me. It kind of brought a lot of my youth back, and it brought a lot of my desire back.
You looked extremely youthful in that fight.
Well, I got more coming, man. You
broke his face in the fight.
Yes,
man.
I did. And if I had the gloves that I was supposed to wear that day, you could say could have, would have, whatever, but it didn't happen. When I did, I think it would have been a different story to tell when I'm sitting here with you right now.
So comparing the fight recently with Inoue in the first fight, what was the difference outside of the ending result? What was the difference?
I think the difference was I had a great team on the first meeting. The second team was falling apart. A lot of the guys couldn't get, my pops couldn't get. I didn't know guys to warm me up, go to the fight. There was a lot of things falling down and off on that fight, and it ended up that way. I think if I was a little bit warmed up and ready, I was in 100%. I think I was in the best, but didn't have a proper team to really pull me in to put me in bed. Getting to the, like the first one, Dad was there using, he really well. Kenny Adams there, all these guys. I got somehow, and this last fight, a lot of them couldn't,
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
that makes sense. Hey man, I want to know what, throughout all the time that you've accumulated in the sport, around the sport, what type of information or what kind of gem or jewel could you drop to a guy just getting started in the sport? What could you tell him that he won't know till he gets to where you are?
Well, I would say if he has talent, saying he has the talent for it, it's just him to believe in himself. The one thing that I do know growing up and how I am now, I believe the that I made, the places that I got was through the intention that I am keeping what I want through the faith. What I, but when you start having a faith in yourself, even in your capability, that's when you know. But of course, you got to have that intention coming.
Well, Nonito, I know you got to get in the gym here in a little bit. I know you got some stuff with your boys that you got going on, man. So I ain't gonna hold you no longer. Hey, we salute you. I stay up till 3, 4 in the morning waiting on you to fight in Japan, stuff like that. I'm just gonna let you know we look forward to the next one. Do you have at least a ballpark date range when we gonna get the next one?
Well, that's something that my manager, my wife, has to kind of deal with. You know, I first it before the summer comes. You know, so around May maybe or late April. You know, I do want to go in the ring, and I'm eager to get in there. You know, and start something to look forward to. But there's definitely a prize going into the
4 decades, man. Come on, you got to give it to me, man.
I told B-Hop, I said, I'm coming after you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I want to see you get it too, man. But I ain't going to hold you no more, sir. Thank you. Tell Miss Rachel, salute.
Thank you, brother.
And, man, you be blessed, and we appreciate you.
You too, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, Nonito. Holla at you, man.
Hip hop.